The galaxy had been a vast and empty place for a long time. Across the stars, countless civilizations existed, but they all stayed in their own corners of space. No one dared to challenge the aliens who ruled the universe. The aliens were powerful. Their fleets controlled entire systems, their technology far more advanced than anything humanity had ever imagined. For centuries, humans had been nothing more than a blip in the cosmic order, an insignificant species, too weak to pose a threat to anyone. The aliens had conquered planets, enslaved civilizations, and spread their influence across the galaxy. Their empire was unstoppable, or so they thought. But something strange began to happen. The stars, once silent and cold, seemed to hum with energy. Something was stirring far beyond the reach of the alien fleets. Something was coming, something that even the aliens could not foresee. The galaxy watched, not knowing what to expect, but sensing that the balance of power was about to shift. It all began on Earth, the small blue planet in the farthest corner of the galaxy. Humanity had always been seen as weak, divided, and unremarkable. For years, Earth had been a target for the aliens, who saw it as an easy conquest. But the humans resisted. They fought back, not with superior technology or fleets of starships, but with something far more dangerous: their will to survive. For the first time in history, the aliens began to notice the humans, not as a threat, but as a curiosity. Why were these creatures still standing after all these years? Why were they not like the other species the aliens had encountered? The aliens had destroyed countless civilizations, but these humans refused to give up. It was a mystery that began to gnaw at the edges of the alien empire. And as the years passed, that mystery grew. More and more humans began to come together. The world leaders, once divided by politics and war, began to unite under a single banner. It wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was about something bigger, a fight for their future. The humans had a plan. A secret alliance was formed, and they began to study the alien technology they had managed to steal. They had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. They had been pushed to the edge, but now they were fighting back. Slowly, the humans began to prepare. They didn't know how they would do it, but they knew one thing for certain. They were ready to face the aliens head-on. And then came the signal. It was a simple transmission, sent across the stars. At first, it was nothing more than a whisper, a strange signal that humans couldn't quite understand. But as they analyzed it, the meaning became clear. We are ready. It wasn't just a message. It was a declaration. Humanity had found a way to strike back. The aliens took no immediate action. They didn't think much of it at first. After all, what harm could such a primitive species cause? But the message spread like wildfire across the galaxy, and soon, everyone knew. Humanity was preparing for war. The alien empires scoffed. They laughed at the thought of a species so weak, so unimportant, challenging their reign. But deep down, something began to stir in the hearts of the alien leaders. Could this be real? Could these humans actually pose a threat? For years, the aliens had toyed with humanity. They had abducted people, conducted experiments, and destroyed cities. But this was different. The humans had found something. They had found a way to fight back, to strike at the heart of the alien empire. And with that realization, fear began to spread among the aliens. It wasn't the fear of defeat. They had never known defeat. It was the fear of the unknown. The fear of a species that refused to bow down, that had nothing left to lose. The fear that, for the first time in their lives, they might have finally met their match. But the aliens didn't act right away. Instead, they watched from the shadows. They studied the humans, trying to figure out what they were planning. The galaxy, once calm and predictable, was now filled with tension. The once dominant alien fleets moved cautiously, knowing that they could no longer ignore the humans. In the depths of space, far away from Earth, the alien leaders gathered. They discussed the threat of humanity in hushed tones, not knowing what to expect. Some believed it was nothing more than a bluff. Others feared it was the beginning of the end. But one thing was clear: humanity was no longer the insignificant species they had once been. The sky, once silent and calm, was now charged with anticipation. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the next move. And far on the horizon, humanity was preparing. They were ready to rise, to fight, and to take back what was theirs. The silent sky was about to become a battleground. The question now wasn't whether humanity could survive. The question was, could the aliens? The silence that had once enveloped Earth was now shattered. Humanity, long underestimated by the aliens, had started preparing for war in secret. Cities once ravaged by alien forces were now fortified and buzzing with activity. Scientists, engineers, and military leaders worked tirelessly to reverse engineer the alien technology that had been scavenged over the years. They were no longer just survivors. They were soldiers, ready to fight for their freedom. But the humans knew they couldn't take on the alien empire head-to-head. Not yet. They needed time. Time to gather their forces, time to study their enemies, and time to make sure they were truly prepared. So, they bided their time, keeping a low profile, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The alien empires, on the other hand, were still laughing at the humans' audacity. They thought it was a joke, a group of primitive, weak creatures. What could they possibly do against the might of the alien fleets? Yet there was something unsettling in the air, something the aliens couldn't quite place. But they knew it was there. They had felt the shift in power, but couldn't grasp its full scope. Then it happened. One night, without warning, a massive explosion rocked one of the alien fleet's outposts. The strike was precise, unexpected, and devastating. The aliens had no idea how it had happened. They thought their defenses were impenetrable. They thought the humans were weak. But the humans had learned. They had adapted. And in that one bold, calculated move, they sent a message across the galaxy. They were no longer the prey. It wasn't a random attack. It was a carefully planned operation that had been in the works for months. A group of elite human operatives, working alongside scientists and engineers, had cracked the code to the aliens' most advanced defense systems. They'd stolen crucial information, and with it, they'd managed to infiltrate one of the aliens' most secure military facilities. It was a gamble, one that could have easily cost them everything, but it paid off. They had struck first, and it had been devastating. The alien response was immediate. Their ships appeared in the sky, massive warships that could lay waste to entire cities with the flick of a switch. The humans watched, their hearts pounding. The attack had only just begun. But the humans didn't falter. They had anticipated this. They had planned for this. The humans were no longer just hiding in the shadows. They had drawn the aliens' attention. And now, they were ready to make their stand. In the aftermath of the explosion, the alien leaders gathered, their minds racing. They had underestimated humanity for far too long. But this was different. They had no idea how the humans had pulled off such a strike. And now, they were left scrambling to figure out what the humans were capable of. The once mighty alien empires, which had once controlled every corner of the galaxy, now found themselves on the defensive. But even as the aliens scrambled to regroup, humanity was already moving forward. The strike had been a signal to the galaxy, a message to the aliens that humanity was no longer content to be pushed around. They had tasted victory, and they wanted more. Across Earth, people were coming together like never before. The world's military forces, once fractured by political divisions, were now united by a common cause. The attacks on alien outposts had brought the people together, filling them with a newfound sense of purpose. They knew what they had to do, and they knew they had no time to waste. The humans weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for freedom, fighting for their planet, and fighting for the galaxy itself. But what the aliens didn't know was that humanity had one advantage they had never anticipated: their will to fight. The aliens were conquerors, used to overwhelming their enemies with force. But humanity was different. They didn't fight for conquest. They fought for survival. And that made them more dangerous than the aliens could ever understand. The first strike had been just the beginning. The humans were about to unleash something the aliens had never seen before. The galaxy would soon realize that the universe was not as predictable as the alien empires had thought, and humanity, once considered weak and insignificant, was now a force to be reckoned with. The battle for the stars was just beginning, and it was clear that the humans would not go down without a fight. The first strike had caught the aliens by surprise, but it was just the beginning. What followed was a series of calculated human moves that further shook the alien empire to its core. They had never seen anything like this before. Humanity, once thought to be weak and easily subjugated, was now proving to be a formidable foe. The aliens, initially arrogant and overconfident, began to panic. For centuries, they had conquered and controlled vast stretches of the galaxy. They were the apex species, feared and respected by all. But now, faced with the unrelenting determination of humanity, they were suddenly unsure of their own superiority. In the alien war councils, leaders furiously debated the situation. How could such a small, seemingly insignificant species have pulled off such a devastating attack? How were the humans able to breach their once impenetrable defenses? Was it the work of a few rogue humans, or was there something larger at play? The questions kept piling up, and answers were hard to come by. In the midst of this chaos, the alien fleet began to mobilize. Their ships, massive and imposing, filled the sky over Earth. The humans, however, were no longer retreating or hiding. They were now on the offensive, utilizing every bit of alien technology they had managed to reverse engineer. They weren't just defending themselves anymore. They were preparing to strike back. Despite their overwhelming numbers and technological superiority, the aliens found themselves in an unexpected position. They were the ones who were on the defensive. Their once feared weapons now seemed less invincible. Humanity, against all odds, had cracked their codes and stolen their secrets. It wasn't just about power. It was about strategy, innovation, and sheer willpower. The humans had figured out how to turn the tables. In a desperate attempt to maintain control, the alien leadership called for reinforcements. A massive armada of ships was sent to Earth, a force so overwhelming that it was meant to crush the humans once and for all. The aliens thought that their sheer numbers would be enough to force the humans into submission. But what they didn't understand was the resolve that now burned in the hearts of Earth's defenders. Back on the planet's surface, the human forces were ready. Their morale had been boosted by the success of the first strike, and they were determined to do whatever it took to protect their home. Governments, military leaders, and civilians alike had united under one banner: to defend Earth at all costs. The alien ships were coming, and they would face humanity's wrath head-on. The sky darkened as the alien fleet descended. The massive ships blocked out the sun, casting Earth into a temporary eclipse. The sight was terrifying. To an ordinary person, it was the kind of sight that would send them running in fear, but not the humans. They had seen worse. They had fought for survival for years, and this was no different. It was just another battle in a long war they were determined to win. As the first alien ships made their descent into Earth's atmosphere, the humans fired the first of their new weapons, an advanced energy cannon that had been reverse-engineered from the alien technology. The blast ripped through the air, striking one of the alien ships with devastating force. The alien ship shuddered and exploded, its remains falling from the sky like burning meteors. The alien fleet, stunned by the unexpected attack, struggled to regroup. They had thought they had the upper hand, but now they were starting to realize they had underestimated the humans in ways they couldn't have imagined. The battle had shifted in humanity's favor, and the aliens were now scrambling to adapt. The humans, emboldened by their first success, pressed on with their assault. They launched wave after wave of advanced fighter ships, outfitted with the latest alien technology. Every battle, every strike, brought them closer to their goal, to drive the invaders from their planet and take back control of their world. Despite their technological advantages, the aliens found themselves increasingly frustrated. Their own weapons, once believed to be invincible, were now ineffective against the humans' ingenuity and resilience. Their panic only deepened. What if they couldn't win? What if humanity truly was the threat they had underestimated all along? For the first time in centuries, the aliens began to question their own superiority. The once proud empire that had dominated the galaxy was now on the brink of losing a war to a species they had once considered beneath them. The thought was incomprehensible, and yet it was becoming more and more likely with each passing moment. But even as the aliens scrambled to regain control, humanity continued to press forward, refusing to back down. They knew they were up against an empire far more advanced than their own, but they had something the aliens didn't: heart, courage, and a refusal to be beaten. The panic among the alien forces was palpable. They had thought the humans would be easy prey. But now it was clear that they had made a terrible mistake. The humans had risen up, and they weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their place in the galaxy. As the battle raged on, the galaxy would soon realize that the once feared aliens were no longer the hunters. They were the hunted. The tide had turned, and humanity's wrath had only just begun. The battle raged on. But as hours turned into days, the scale of the conflict began to shift. The aliens, now fully aware that they had underestimated humanity's resolve, scrambled to regroup. Their advanced warships, once impervious to most attacks, were now taking damage from weapons the humans had only just begun to perfect. Every strike from the human forces, no matter how small, chipped away at the invaders' confidence. On Earth's surface, the humans watched as their retaliation escalated. The world's nations, united in purpose for the first time in centuries, coordinated their defenses with military precision. It was no longer just a series of isolated skirmishes. It was a full-fledged war, and the humans had proven that they could hold their own. The alien fleet began to falter, its once mighty vessels failing to live up to their reputation. The humans had figured out the weak points in their defenses, exploiting every vulnerability with unrelenting determination. They knew that this was their one shot at freedom, at reclaiming their planet. There was no turning back now. But the aliens were not without their own tricks. In response to the human assault, they deployed new, even more destructive weapons, hoping to break the tide of battle in their favor. The sky above Earth was soon filled with deadly energy blasts, rippling through the atmosphere like lightning strikes. For a moment, it seemed as though humanity would be overwhelmed. However, the humans had anticipated this. They had prepared for this very scenario. In a move that would become legendary, the human forces unleashed a weapon of their own, a network of satellites designed to create an energy shield strong enough to repel the aliens' attacks. The first wave of alien energy blasts hit the shield with all their might, but the human defense held firm. The shield shimmered with intensity, absorbing the blows and sending them harmlessly into space. The aliens, who had believed their technological superiority would give them the upper hand, were now witnessing the unthinkable. A species that had once been helpless was now turning their own weapons against them. The panic among the aliens spread like wildfire. What had seemed like a surefire victory was rapidly slipping through their fingers. Even their best strategists were at a loss. They had never encountered a foe like this before, one that could not only withstand their attacks, but also fight back with innovation and ingenuity. In their command centers, alien leaders barked orders, but the growing chaos on their ships made it difficult to maintain control. A sense of desperation began to seep through their ranks. Their empire, built on fear and conquest, was crumbling in the face of a determined human force. As the tide of battle turned further in favor of humanity, more alien ships began to retreat. They had been outmatched, outsmarted, and outlasted. The humans had proven that they could stand toe-to-toe with the most advanced species in the galaxy, and that realization was too much for the invaders to bear. Despite the desperation of the alien forces, humanity pressed forward. They were not just defending their planet anymore. They were sending a message to the entire galaxy. Humanity was not a species to be trifled with. Back on Earth, the people watched in awe as their forces began to win. Every victory, no matter how small, brought them closer to victory. The alien ships that had once loomed menacingly above them were now retreating into the depths of space. The humans had fought for their survival, and they were winning. But even as the aliens withdrew, humanity knew that this was not the end. There were still countless unknowns, still mysteries to unravel. The war was far from over. Yet in that moment, the humans had proven their worth. They had stood up to the galaxy's most terrifying empire, and against all odds, emerged victorious. The aliens had underestimated them, mocked their weakness, and believed they were insignificant. But now, the tables had turned. The galaxy would soon learn that humans, once considered mere prey, were a force to be reckoned with. And so, the alien retreat continued, but with every ship that turned away from Earth, the message became clearer. Humanity was no longer the underdog. They were the ones to watch, the ones who would shape the future of the galaxy. As the last of the alien forces vanished into the vast expanse of space, the humans stood victorious. They had faced down a terrifying enemy and emerged stronger than ever. But even in their moment of triumph, they knew that the battle for the future was only just beginning. The universe had taken notice of the humans' resilience, and nothing would ever be the same again. With the retreat of the alien forces, Earth began to breathe a collective sigh of relief. The battle that had raged for so long now felt like a distant memory. The once terrifying warships that had blotted out the sky now drifted away into the cosmos, their dark shapes fading into the vast expanse of space. On Earth's surface, however, the scars of war remained, visible in the wreckage scattered across cities, the broken buildings, and the silent reminders of the destruction that had almost been. Yet despite the devastation, humanity stood triumphant. The humans had faced down an unimaginable threat and had emerged victorious. The fear that had once gripped their hearts was now replaced with a sense of pride, unity, and determination. They had proven their worth on a galactic scale, and no one, not even the most powerful alien civilizations, could take that away from them. But as Earth celebrated its hard-earned victory, a nagging question remained. Why had the aliens retreated? Why had they abandoned their invasion, something that seemed so certain, so inevitable? The answer would soon become clear. In the aftermath, as humans sifted through the debris and examined the alien technology left behind, they discovered something strange. The aliens, in their retreat, had left behind a transmission. A message, encoded deep within their abandoned ships, was intercepted by Earth's newly formed defense network. The transmission was an emergency broadcast from the alien empire itself. The humans eagerly decrypted the message, and what they found stunned them all. It turned out that the alien invaders had underestimated humanity's ability to fight back, seriously underestimated it. The technology they had brought to Earth, once thought to be all-powerful, had been tested and surpassed by the humans in a matter of days. It was as though the humans had a hidden well of potential that none of their enemies had ever considered. This, they realized, was what made humanity unique. While the aliens had advanced technology, they lacked the unpredictable resourcefulness and raw will to survive that humans had in abundance. But that wasn't all. The alien message revealed a far darker reason for their retreat. It turned out that the humans were not just any species. Something about them had begun to make other galactic civilizations wary. The aliens spoke in fearful tones about an ancient prophecy, one that had been handed down for eons among the oldest and most powerful alien races. It was a prophecy about a species that would one day rise, not only to defend itself but to conquer those who dared to invade it. And now, the aliens had seen that prophecy coming true. The humans were no longer just the prey of the universe. They were a force to be reckoned with, one that had the potential to change the balance of power across the entire galaxy. The alien empire, realizing the threat that humanity posed, had decided that the risk of facing them in battle was simply too great. In essence, the humans had become more than just a threat. They were now a target. The galactic leaders of the alien empire had made a decision to pull back, to regroup, and to plan their next move. They knew that if they did not, they might find themselves facing a new, unexpected enemy, one they could not easily defeat. For the humans, the truth was both humbling and empowering. They had always believed that they were the underdogs, that they were destined to be the weak ones in the galaxy. But now they knew they were something far more dangerous. They were survivors, innovators, and warriors with the power to reshape the very future of the stars. The global community began to rebuild, but there was a new air of caution, even among the victors. Earth had won this battle, but the war was far from over. While the alien threat had been pushed back, the humans knew that the galaxy would not forget what had happened. The message had been sent. Humans were not to be underestimated. And so, as humanity began its slow recovery, questions lingered in the air. Who else in the galaxy had been watching? What other alien races had seen Earth's victory, and now considered the humans a new, formidable power? The war had not just been a victory for Earth, it had been a declaration that humans were no longer passive players in the galaxy. They had proven that they could fight, that they could win. The galaxy would have to deal with them as equals from now on, for humanity's story was just beginning. The aliens who had once sought to enslave and destroy humanity would never forget the humans who had fought back and won. And as Earth's leaders began to rebuild, they too wondered, what would the next chapter of humanity's story look like? The stars no longer seemed as far away. The universe was watching, and humanity was no longer afraid. The humans had struck back, and the universe was beginning to understand. They were a force that could no longer be ignored. As Earth's defense systems continued to improve, and humanity's power in the galaxy grew, the aliens who had once fled in terror now had one more thing to fear: humanity's relentless drive to protect its future and its place among the stars. Months passed since the alien invasion, and the Earth began to heal. The scars of war were still present, but the humans had proven themselves to be a resilient species. Cities were being rebuilt, technology advanced, and a renewed sense of pride filled the air. But even in this period of recovery, one question lingered on everyone's mind. What would the galaxy's response be to humanity's unexpected victory? The truth was that Earth had become something far greater than a planet of mere survival. The humans were now seen as a rising power, a species that had not only survived an invasion but had repelled the invaders and sent them running. It was a rare and remarkable feat in the galaxy, and every civilization, big or small, was taking note. In the highest echelons of the global governments, a new challenge arose. Earth was no longer just a player in the game of survival. They were a force that could no longer be ignored. Their victory had shaken the very foundations of the universe's balance of power, and the question was no longer, what will humanity do? But what will humanity do next? The leaders of Earth convened to address this new reality. There was no denying that the world had changed. Diplomats from various alien races had already begun sending envoys to Earth, hoping to open dialogues and perhaps form alliances. These alien species were not here to conquer. They were here because they feared what humans might become. The galaxy had seen a taste of what humanity was capable of, and it was a force to be reckoned with. Among the new arrivals were those who had been observing the Earth from the shadows, waiting for the humans to reveal their true potential. These races were not the ones who had attacked Earth, but they were now taking note of the fact that humanity was no longer content with being at the bottom of the galactic food chain. They had fought back, and now the aliens wanted to understand why. It didn't take long for the leaders of Earth to realize the implications of this newfound attention. For centuries, humans had looked up to the stars in awe, but now the stars were looking back. They had been seen as weak, vulnerable, and easy targets, but now they were respected as survivors. Humans were no longer afraid of the unknown. They had faced the greatest threat the galaxy had known and emerged victorious. And now, they had the opportunity to reshape their destiny. But despite this newfound strength, humans were cautious. They knew that this was not the end of their story. The universe was vast, and not all species were willing to make peace. The threat of new enemies still loomed large. Earth's victory had made the galaxy aware of its power, but it had also placed a target on its back. Humanity was now faced with a critical decision. How would they handle the rise of this new galactic status? Should they seek out alliances with the more peaceful races, or should they prepare for a future where their military might would be tested again? There was no easy answer. At the heart of this decision was something humanity had always struggled with: trust. Would they trust these alien races that now approached them with offers of peace, or would they remain vigilant, ready to defend their planet at any cost? One thing was certain: Earth would not be caught off guard again. The once innocent species, who had been seen as an easy target for alien invaders, had transformed into a force of nature. The aliens who had once mocked them for their weakness now saw them as equals, and some even feared what humanity might become if left unchecked. The humans knew they had a long road ahead. Their victory against the invaders had been a turning point, but the future was still uncertain. Earth was no longer just a world caught in the cosmic shuffle. It was now a planet that commanded attention, one that could change the course of galactic history. As Earth's defense systems grew stronger, so did their determination to never be caught unprepared again. The lessons learned from the invasion were burned into their collective memory. The humans had faced destruction, but they had not broken. They had fought back and shown the galaxy their true strength. Now, with peace seemingly within reach, the question was not just about survival. It was about what kind of legacy humanity would leave behind. Would they rise to meet the challenges of a new and complex galaxy, or would they fall prey to the same forces that had once sought to conquer them? As the first alien ambassadors arrived on Earth, there was a sense of nervous excitement in the air. The humans had proven themselves on the battlefield, but now they would have to prove themselves in diplomacy and strategy. Would they choose peace, or would they prepare for the next battle? The galaxy was watching. The story of humanity had only just begun, and the universe was about to find out what kind of species the humans would become. Would they be the protectors of the galaxy, or would they rise as conquerors, rewriting the rules of the universe? Time would tell. One thing was certain: humanity's fight for survival had turned into a fight for dominance. The galaxy had underestimated them once, but it would not make that mistake again. The humans had proven that they were not a species to be trifled with. They were a force to be reckoned with, and their future was theirs to shape. The galaxy's eyes were fixed firmly on Earth, and so were the eyes of humanity. The aftermath of the invasion had transformed not only the planet's future, but also the way the human race saw itself. No longer was Earth a fragile world struggling to survive. It was now a beacon of strength and resilience, a symbol of what could be achieved when a species stood united in the face of annihilation. With the arrival of the first alien ambassadors, the political landscape of Earth began to shift. Diplomatic meetings were held at the highest level, where Earth's leaders engaged with representatives from various alien factions. Each species had their own intentions. Some came to offer alliances, others sought to establish trade routes, while a few simply wanted to learn from humanity's remarkable comeback. However, beneath the surface of these seemingly peaceful negotiations, tension simmered. Humanity had earned its reputation as a formidable force, but some of the more power-hungry alien factions saw it as a challenge to their authority, to their very existence. They had witnessed how humans had risen from the ashes of the invasion, and now many wondered, would humanity become a dominant force in the galaxy, or would they remain a wild card, unpredictable and dangerous? It wasn't just the alien visitors that were scrutinizing humanity's every move. Earth itself was watching closely. For the first time in centuries, the world felt united. The horrors of the invasion had drawn humanity together, forging bonds between nations that had previously been divided by petty disputes. Humanity had learned that survival depended on strength, but unity had been the key to their victory. Yet, as Earth's leaders sat at the table, forging new alliances with alien races, they knew that this was just the beginning of a much larger journey. The galaxy was vast, filled with mysteries, dangers, and unknown territories. Could humanity navigate these complexities without becoming the very thing they had fought against? Some human leaders were eager to extend an olive branch, to prove that Earth was not a threat, but a potential ally in the vast galactic ecosystem. They believed that forging peaceful relationships with the alien races would be the key to securing a prosperous future. But others, hardened by the invasion, were not so sure. They had seen the ruthlessness of the alien invaders and feared that peace was just an illusion, one that would only last until humanity let its guard down. The military leaders of Earth were already making preparations, quietly fortifying the planet's defenses. They knew that, despite the promises of peace, the galaxy was full of predators. Some of the alien races who had initially supported humanity's victory were now preparing for something else entirely, preparing for the possibility that humanity would soon rise as an unstoppable power, one capable of conquering the galaxy. Meanwhile, the people of Earth were left to wonder. What was the future they were marching toward? The world was filled with hope, but also anxiety. There were whispers of further threats, of distant alien forces that might seek revenge for the humiliation inflicted upon them. And yet, even in the face of these uncertainties, humanity stood strong, driven by the collective will to protect their home and ensure the survival of their species. The battle for Earth was over, but the war for the galaxy had only just begun. As Earth's newly established alliance began to take shape, the galaxy's response was swift. Some alien factions extended their hands in friendship, eager to work with humanity, while others sought to test the limits of Earth's newfound strength. Alien fleets began to approach, and military maneuvering intensified as old tensions between galactic powers resurfaced. The war for dominance had begun again, but this time, humanity was not on the sidelines. The humans had proven that they could stand against impossible odds, that they could fight and win against alien forces far superior to their own. Now it was time to prove that they could hold their ground in the delicate balance of galactic diplomacy. Would they take up arms once more, or would they forge a new path, one where peace could coexist with strength? The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy. It had gone from a vulnerable species struggling to survive to a force that demanded respect. And as the first wave of new alliances began to form, humans understood one thing. No matter the challenges ahead, they would face them together, with unity, strength, and a refusal to ever be underestimated again. And as Earth looked toward the stars, the dawn of a new era had begun. The galaxy was no longer just a place of vast unknowns. It was now a stage, and humanity was ready to play its part, whatever that part might be. What the future held for Earth was anyone's guess, but one thing was certain: humanity was no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the future. Their legacy would be written not in the scars of war, but in the strength of their resolve, their unwavering belief in their right to stand tall among the stars. The galaxy had seen what humanity was capable of. Now, it would wait to see how far they were willing to go.